What's up, champs? Real Weapon here, back with a new video today. Today we are going to go over the new runes that have been shown and are released on the PvE for Jax. We're going to talk about it, what we would build on Jax. So keep in mind, numbers will change as things go on, but I'm going to start out on this side of the rune thing. I'm going to talk about numbers and such. So, first off, I wanted to talk about the best uh the best path to go on for Jax. I believe it's precision. Precision is like your attack speed based champions like for basic attackers. So, precision is definitely the best on Jax, and the reason why is because of two keystones that you can find in precision and the runes you will find as well in precision. So we're going to stay on this page and we're going to explain all the keystones that matter on Jax. And this one was released actually in Inspiration, but we're not going to go over that because that's a support rune. So um, first we're going to go over Press the Attack. So Press the Attack is like Fervor of Battle. Attacking the same champion grants endlessly stacking attack damage. So note that it said endlessly, so this is infinite. Uh, which is 1.5 to 4 AD per stack, doubled for melee champs. So basically, you get like 3 level 1 per stack, which is actually pretty nice. And stacks stay on for 4 seconds, and when you switch a target, you keep half your stack. So basically, attack the same target, forever battle type of thing. Yeah. Uh, so that's definitely viable on Jax. I believe it is. It's like another Fervor battle, so it's not a bad choice to go on Jax. So keep that in mind. Next one I wanted to talk about was Lethal Tempo. This one is really interesting, and I am way more interested in Lethal Tempo than I am with Press the Attack because I've tested Lethal Tempo on the PvE servers, and it's really fun in my opinion. I really like this keystone because it basically allows you to do different types of builds on Jax, but at the same time, it's like you're going to be super squishy if you build an attack speed based build on Jax, so it's really not that good in terms of trying to stay alive and stuff like that. If you're trying to deal DPS and trying to cut down tanks, this is probably the better mastery or the better rune to go. So 1.5 seconds after damaging a champion, gain 30 to 80% attack speed based on level for 3 seconds. Attacking a champion extends the effect to 6 seconds, and it's a 6-second cooldown. And then Lethal Tempo allows you to temporarily exceed the attack speed limit. Um, which is weird because they said it says temporarily, but in reality, when I tested it on the PBE, when I had items and I exceeded the attack speed cap with just my items and not activating lethal tempo. So I find that like kind of weird that it's saying that temporarily. It must be a bug or something, but if it's not, then that's really cool. If it is, then I believe press the attack is probably going to be the better option. Um, However, I do believe Lethal Tempo does have its uh, upsides instead of its downsides. You know, both of them have their downsides and upsides, but I believe Lethal Tempo is definitely um, really interesting on Jax because you want to proc your Grandmaster's Might as much as possible in a fight, so um, the more you can proc it, the better DPS you will output compared to press the attack, because the problem with press the attack is you have to stack it up to get all of that AD in general. So I believe lethal tempo um if you're going like a glass cannon, like attack speed build, for fun and stuff like that, with like Ginsu's Rage Blade, like a Wit's End, a Gnasher's Tooth, a Blade of the Ruined King, a Blood Razor, Trinity Force, whatever, um, then this actually might be okay because you can get crazy amounts of attack speed from this, and like I tested it on a dummy and it was actually really fun. Like just seeing the amount of DPS you could put out with it. Like it was like pretty high up there. So yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting keystone, and I think these two are going to be the viable best keystones on Jax. For hands down, I think Press the Attack or Lethal Tempo are going to be the two choices. Fleet-footed, let's not fleet foot work. My bad, not fleet-footed. Um, that's basically Warlords. Let's not really talk about that. That's not that amazing. Um, and in these two, I believe Predator and Dark Harvest aren't that good. Um, they can work, they definitely work, but I believe Electrocute, like it's like Thunderlords. It's literally like the same thing as Thunderlords. Um, that's basically the only thing I would go um in Domination, but I don't think it's as good as Press the Attack or Lethal Tempo on Jax. So definitely keep that in mind. That Electrocute is better for like a burst type of Jax, but that is the only um way I would recommend it if you were going like a burst Jax. In this tree, I believe Phase Rush is the only viable option. It's like Storm Raider Surge, except after you attack with 3 unique attacks or abilities within 2 seconds, now it grants you 30 to 60% move speed based on level. Additionally, gain 75% slow resistance for the duration. So, and it has a duration of 3 seconds and a cooldown of 15 seconds. So, it's actually not bad. But then again, you're losing out on potential DPS, which I think is more important in duels on Jax than actually catching up to the enemy. So I'm not a fan of Phase Rush, to be honest. And we're going to talk about this one. Okay, so this one is interesting. Resolve. Grasp of the Undying is basically what it was before, but now you permanently increase your health by 5 each time you proc it. So for tank jacks, I actually think this is viable, because it'll allow you to scale more. However, I do believe that it is not superior to the precision tree for sure. Again, like I think nothing is superior to the precision tree. I think you have to go either press the attack or lethal tempo on Jax. I believe those are the two main choices for Jax. Um, so basically, this is like, the way it was before. It heals you based on your max health and deals bonus damage based on 3% of your max health. So every 4 seconds in combat. Um, so it's pretty cool. It's better than it was before for sure, but it's probably not as good as these. Like even on a tank build, I would only recommend it for a tank build, by the way. Like if you're going Titanic Hydra, Trinity Force into like full tank, I would only recommend it on that. Again though, like press the attack is probably still better than that, even on the tank build. So keep that in mind. And lethal tempo is kind of like a niche type of keystone, in my opinion. Um, it's more for fun, but it also works on standard builds like Blade the Ruin King, Trinity Force into full tank. Like it'll still work, but the problem with it is you won't go over the attack speed limit with just that. So I'm not a fan of it. In terms of those types of builds. However, the glass cannon attack speed, I am a fan. Um, so Guardian, that's more of a support type of thing. You can shield champions. I don't believe it's that good on Jax. It's viable, but it's definitely not that good. Aftershock, um, This is something that is actually pretty interesting, and some people have said that, this is actually not that bad. After immobilizing enemy champion, increase your current armor and magic resistance by 10 plus 30% for 2.5 seconds, which really adds up if you have your ultimate active. You have a huge shell of defenses, which is very important on Jackson team fights. Um, then after 2.5 seconds, deal damage to nearby enemies. So basically you get a burst type of thing, but the base damage is pretty low. It's 40 to 140 and plus 3.5% of your max health. I would definitely recommend this on tank jacks, but I believe Grasp of the Undying or this is the only two things you would go on tank jacks. Um, so let's talk about inspiration. Glacial Augment is like a frozen mallet, um, but it also has like a freeze ray. I don't think it's that good personally. I think the only thing you would take in this is Summoner Specialist, which is gain 15% Summoner spell cooldown reduction, and you can swap one of your Summoner spells to a different one at the shop for one Summoner shard. Gain your first Summoner Shard at 2 minutes and another every 6 minutes after max 2 shards. Buying a Smite won't grant access to Smite items. You cannot have two of the same Summoner spells. Okay, so basically, this is okay if you're going top lane, if you're trying to cheese like with Exhaust Ignite or something like that, but other than that, um, it's really not that great in my opinion. I think like as the game goes on, this just falls off super hard. It's more of a trying to cheese your lane type of thing, but you're going to lose out on the press the attack or lethal tempo, which is really not that good to lose out on. So, in my opinion, I don't like it on Jax. I believe you need to go precision on Jax. And so now, since I actually talked about, the runes a little bit and what you can do on Jax, I believe I should start, showing you an actual page that I would make on Jax. So, let's make a press the attack page. So, actually, yeah, let's make a press the attack page. So, I definitely believe the three choices out of this, Triumph is the best out of every single one out of these because overheal, you're never going to really overheal. You're not going to sustain that often, and you're probably going to be doing dangerous game type of stuff, which is take downs, restore health, and grant bonus gold. So giving yourself bonus gold to snowball more and to actually win these 2v1s or these 3v1s or these 5v1s, you never know. Like, having that extra health is very important. So I think Triumph is the best, especially in the split pushing scenarios Jax gets into. I believe Triumph is definitely the best. So, uh, and Presence of the Mind is not that good. Like, it's just converted into mana after you. I don't like it. Um, so there's only two viable options. Well, all these are viable options in my opinion, but I believe the most two viable options are Al Alacrity. God, I can't pronounce anything. Um, Alacrity. That's how you say it. Kill enemies to gain permanent attack speed. So I definitely think this is hands down like the best choice on Jax. For this particular choice tree. Um, I do believe the Legend Tenacity is really good in certain scenarios too. You can basically swap between the two, and I believe the lifesteal isn't that much, so you're probably going to build lifesteal anyway, so like you don't really need this. So I believe that Alacrity is the best in certain scenarios, and if they have like a really hard CC comp, then you definitely want this. Um, so I believe out of all these choices, um, this is kind of tricky. This was always the most tricky to me because Jax gets in those dueling scenarios where you want to deal more damage to champions. Like, you get into really close fights with Jax, right? So basically, when they're low and you're low, it's like, well, you can take last stand because you're going to be lower on HP. Um, then again, cut down, you can cut down these tanks and, really shred them. I definitely think cut down is better for a lethal tempo build. But in terms of, I think Coupe de Grace is probably the best. So this is kind of what throws me off a little bit. This part of the tree is kind of where you're like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. Well, I'm here to tell you everything works for this part, and um, so you gotta base it off of what is your goal in your particular game. Are you trying to burst people out? Are you trying to, if you're trying to burst people out, you should be taking a different keystone anyway, my bad. But if you're trying to deal more damage overall, you definitely want to go with precision plus domination. Hands down, the best. If you want more flat attack speed, inspiration works. If you want more utility and stuff too. If you want more tankiness, definitely go resolve. And if you want the benefits of more CDR, definitely go sorcery. So we're going to go over domination. So domination, I believe there are a couple choices in this that would work, and that would be sudden impact. Taste of blood can work. It can work a little bit, and cheap shot can work too. Um, Everything basically works for Jax, but I believe like these on the bottom aren't that amazing to take. So I believe if you were to go in domination, you would definitely go sudden impact, and if you wanted more damage, um, could go eyeball collection. Now I'm not saying this is the best choice for Jax, but I'm definitely saying if you want to deal more damage overall, this is probably the tree you want to go into for your secondary. Um, so, other than that, I believe the other three trees are definitely viable. Um, Sorcery, if you're trying to do like a 30% CDR build, I definitely recommend going into Sorcery because it allows you to um, gain 10% CDR with one of the runes you can get in this. Once you reach level 10, and access CDR becomes AP or AD, which is adaptive based on your champion. Um, and what you have the most of, I believe, is how adaptive stats work. So I definitely recommend Transcendence for this. Other than that, the everything is basically situational. The ultimate hat gain cooldown reduction on max, cooldown reduction on your ultimate, and it's increased further each time you use your ultimate up to a maximum of whatever the number is. I believe this is actually really good. However, I believe on Jax, your cooldown on your ultimate is so low already that you don't necessarily need this. Like it's nice to have, but you definitely necessarily don't really need it. Nullifying Orb is actually a good choice against like a Teemo or like a bunch of AP on their team. It's basically like a mini what's it called, a Maw the Malmortis. It's a mini version of that. So if you want like if you want to build this with a Hex Drinker or Mal the Malmortis, then this is actually really good because you'll get more of that magic damage shield when you're low on HP. So it's definitely a viable choice, but I highly recommend um in general cases, I would recommend probably the Ultimate Hat and Transcendence. However, there is one more thing I would recommend. It's Gathering Storm, which actually increases your AD or AP over the course of the game, which is adaptive as well. Um, so I would definitely recommend either the Ultimate Hat or Gathering Storm. Water Walking can work, Scorch is okay, but I think Gathering Storm or the Ultimate Hat are better in general case scenarios. So, for me, I would probably say the Ultimate Hat because it's really not that bad. Um, lower cooldown on your ultimate means you can get in these team fights more often and not worry about your ultimate being on cooldown for certain weird scenarios. So yeah. Next we're going to go over the resolve as a secondary. Um, there is a lot of choices I believe in this that are really good. So if you're going like a tank build, like a standard Jax build, I believe this is probably the best secondary choice out of all of them. And I believe this is hands down, Demolish is hands down the best, one of the best to take. Because you charge up a powerful attack against a tower while near it, which is really good on Jax because one of your main goals on Jax is to split push and push down these towers. So you want to make sure you grab something that benefits that split pushing power, which is this in the resolve tree. They basically say, hey, we're buffing Jax by adding this. We're buffing Titanic, Hydra, Trinity Force Jax. That's how I look at this. And um, for the next option, there's several options you have. And if we're talking general options, um, I'm going to go with either Overgrowth or Conditioning. Conditioning after 10 minutes gains 6 armor and 6 magic resistance. Increase your total armor and magic resist by 5%. So I definitely think this is like really good on Jax. I definitely think this is probably the better of the general ones. Um, in Mirror Shell and Iron Skin, I believe you just get 3 armor at the start of the game, but I believe it's really not that good because you only increase your armor by 5% for 3 seconds or your magic resist by 5% for 3 seconds when you eat like a biscuit or you drink a potion of any sort. Any consumables increases your magic resist by 5% for 3 seconds. Well, that's not as good as 6 armor and 6 magic resist and increase your total armor and magic resist by 5%. Yes, it's after 10 minutes, but that is overall a lot better. So I would definitely go with that. Or we're going to talk about this one, Overgrowth. Every 10 monsters or enemy minions that die near you permanently increase your max health by 0.2%. So that is not really a high number, and the issue is if you divide 10 by 300, that's like, what, 30? So you're only getting 30 times 0.2%, which I believe is, uh, I can't calculate it in my head, so that is actually 60. So that's only like well, that's actually not bad actually. If you wait, did I do that wrong? I think I did. I think I put 300 instead of okay, it's 6. So you get 6% max health. That's not horrible, but at the same time, you're probably not going to get 300 CS that often anyway. So I definitely recommend conditioning. I definitely recommend conditioning out of that, like out of everything else. Um, Second Wind is okay. Restore health over time based on missing health, which gives you a bit of sustain on tank jacks. But other than that, I just recommend conditioning over everything else. So I definitely think this is like the best. This is hands down the best um setup you can have on Jax. I definitely think this is the best setup you can have on Jax because most of the time you're going to be building you never know though. The meta might change with all these runes and everything because Jax changes based on how the meta changes and everything. So, um the thing is Titanic Hydra gives a wave clear and all that stuff and then, you know, I don't know, like this just increases your split pushing power and this increases your survivability and it increases your overall DPS with the main precision being the main rune uh path. So, yeah, I definitely think this is like the best choice. But for the sake of the video, we're just going to go over the last one, which is inspiration. I definitely believe that inspiration is fine because it gives you flat out 18% attack speed, which is a bit more than 12%, but still it's really not that great of a number. Like it doesn't make a significant difference. So the only choice I would recommend on this is um there are a few choices obviously. If you're looking for split pushing power, I guess you could go minion dematerializer, like that would help. The depth items that works too. Magical footwear is pretty cool. You get free boots 10 minutes, but you cannot buy boots before then. These boots give additional move speed, so that's a pretty cool one. But other than that, Hex Tech Flash Traptation is like a another flash, but it's like a channeled flash, which isn't really that useful. I already tested it out. It's really not that great. Um, so I think magical footwear is the best because most scenarios you're not getting boots until like 10 minutes anyway. So, um, yeah. So I definitely think like it's free. It's free boots. Like it's just hands down probably the best. Um, And now we're going to talk about these. So this is actually really good. Cosmic Insight, 5% cooldown reduction, 5% max cooldown reduction, 5% summoner spell cooldown reduction, and 5% item cooldown reduction. So this is really good, honestly. And I would honestly recommend this if you're going in the inspiration tree. Um, because the other one is okay, bonus move speed when you're moving towards allies that are CC'd or enemies that you CC. It's okay, but really, I definitely think Cosmic Insight is the better choice if you're going this. And the other one is only 100 permanent health at the cost of early champion damage, which I do not recommend at all. I don't like 100 extra health, not that good. So, yeah, I believe those are the best inspiration ones. But I do believe if you are to make a standard Jax page, it would be Demolish with conditioning and with press the attack or lethal tempo. Lethal tempo, as I said multiple times before, I believe it limits you to going glass cannon most of the time, even though it's viable on standard Jax. It definitely screams out, build attack speed, build attack speed. You're going to transcend this attack speed cap. That's the problem with lethal tempo for me. Lethal tempo is more for someone like Master Yi who builds squishy and a lot of attack speed and just pentakills everybody. But Jax can definitely do it too. Jax can build that way too, but it's harder for Jax. It's definitely harder because um I don't know. Press the attack is probably the best choice for Jax in my opinion. So yeah, that's basically it. I believe this is the best rune page you can take on Jax. So if you guys have any questions, you can ask me down below in the comment section. Tell me what you think of the video. Leave a thumbs up if you did enjoy. And yeah, definitely subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.